I'd like to know how souls who have passed over to the other side are helping us. Are they helping us? I'm assuming they are. And how we can work with them or let their assistance in to help us.
When you think about how you are source energy, you are in physical form, you launch further rockets of desire, and source becomes that. Those friends that you have known in physical form who are now non-physically focused, they are part of that non-physical energy that is calling you toward what you are wanting. And the more closely you associate with them, the more refined, specific help they can give you, because your expectation of their calling, so to speak, is keener than when you are just thinking in terms of the nebulous non-physical that is rooting for you. Because when you think about it, it's all about attention or focus. It's a huge non-physical team of assets, you might say, that are all working toward the outcome that you have defined as your desire through the life that you are living.
So they're part of that team.
They are part of that team. They are a big part of that team.
Yeah.
And often, that's why often you'll hear in your mind's ear, you'll hear them encouraging you in a specific way in which you know it is them. A familiar words in a song or a phrase that they commonly used that is appropriate for this moment, that sort of thing is the way that you most often hear them. You can feel them. Have you ever had that feeling that someone that you knew and loved was there with you, and you even are able to identify who it is? There is nothing that is dead about non-physical at all. The other day, Jerry and Esther were in one of their favorite restaurants in San Diego. They went there specifically to relive old times, so to speak. It was the first place that Esther ate swordfish with Jerry, and they still believe that it is the best swordfish that they eat anywhere, and they eat swordfish everywhere. And so they went back, and as they walked into the restaurant, there was a picture of a man, a very comfortable-looking man, sitting in a wooden boat, all casual and relaxed. He had a drink in his hand and a big smile on his face. And Jerry and Esther both noticed the picture. It was odd how it caught both of their attention. And Jerry asked the hostess, "Who is that in the picture?" And she said, "It is Mr. So-and-so. He is the owner of this restaurant, or this chain of restaurants, and he has recently died." And right away, Jerry and Esther had a sense of that was why they were drawn to see the picture. Maybe it had not been there before, and maybe it had, but they could feel something striking about their awareness of it. So they sat to eat, and Jerry is expressing to Esther how he loves this restaurant so much, and even though there are others of the same name, that the food in this restaurant seems to be the very best. And I wonder why that is, he says. And this man, flowing through Esther, all full of energy and enthusiasm, looked right at Jerry and said, "It's management." And Esther said, "Whoa." It was an exhilarating, what a jovial, good-feeling man. And then he said to Jerry said, "Well, where did you find your managers?" And he said, "They were personal friends in the beginning."
Wow.
And then he went on to explain. Jerry said, "Why is the food so much better here than at any of your other restaurants?" And he said, "Because this is where I came every day, and I made sure that they were on it here. I lived nearby." And Jerry asked a few other questions, and Esther laughed more with him flowing through her than she does in a normal 5 or 10 minute conversation. He said, "I would do something about these potatoes. I would talk to someone about these potatoes. They were not mixed to his liking." A sort of a gratin potato with big lumps in it. It was not smooth in the way that he liked it. And so Esther said, I don't know why we even think in terms of non-physical as being separate from us, because it is so not separate. And Jerry and Esther sitting there in love with life, in adoration and appreciation of this restaurant. And Esther, with her open valve, this man flowed right through and had lunch with them and commented even on what was going on, playfully answering all of Jerry's questions. And so then Jerry went to another woman in the restaurant and he said, how long have you worked here? And she said, 20 years. And Jerry said, did you know the owner? And she said, oh, yes, I knew him very well. And Jerry said, did he eat here? And she said, every day. He kept us on our toes. Wow. He lived nearby. And so we think it is time for all of you to accept that there is no necessary separation between what is physical and non-physical. And the separation, if it exists ever at all, is because the human part of you is not up to speed with the non-physical part of you. When you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on, you have access to that infinite intelligence. And we promise you, all of your beloved are there.
And can we do anything that would enable them to reach us in an easier fashion?
Well, we just told you.
Yeah,
be tuned in, be in vibrational alignment with who you are. When you're closing that gap, get the sense of this. When you're deliberately closing that gap between who you are letting yourself be in this moment and who you really are, as you close that gap, guess who you're in alignment with? In other words, they're right there. And if there's something about them that's significant to you, you have access to it.
Thank you.
You can paint with the most powerful of the painters. You can write music with the most powerful musicians. You can sing with the most achieved singers. In other words, you have access to all that they know. And they are leading edge knowers, having been through this cycle of life that we are describing, you see.
Yeah.
So, which is it, Abraham? Are we on the leading edge or are they on the leading edge? And we say, you're on the leading edge because you're giving birth to the newest desire. And your wanting is what is calling it all forward. But they are much better at allowing, and that's what we're trying to teach you to do. So you say, oh, so you're trying to teach us to behave like the dead ones. And we say, exactly.
Yeah.
Since there is no death.
Isn't like bringing heaven on earth?
It is exactly that. That gate swings both ways.